Hello there, this is Roberto Matthews with another quick tip for you. So normally when you're shooting, especially when you're shooting in less than ideal lighting conditions, you think about using a flash. And then you pull out your speed flash, pop it onto your DSLR camera, and you have it a go. But I was thinking, why not use my onboard flash, my pop-up flash? Now, of course, there's several advantages of using this speed light. You can directionally, put your light anywhere you'd like. But I have a few disadvantages that I wanted to get over when using this. One of the biggest problems was battery consumption. The second one was basically I don't pack my camera like this, so I'm always having to set it up. And of course it adds weight, and there are a few other minor inconveniences when it comes to it also. I would like to be able to just pop up this flash and connect something to it to be able to do the same thing as my speed light, but have the convenience of being able to not have to carry something extra that's so heavy, relatively heavy. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a few shots, and I'm going to show you the little invention that I found on Thingiverse. But I'm going to leave you a link to it. But if you don't have a 3D printer, just let me know in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to get some information from you. And just like I did for my gardening 3D prints, I'll go ahead and send something to you for a nominal fee. Okay? So let's go ahead and try these out. So I have here a few lenses. You don't see them on the camera here, but I do have a few lenses here, and I'm going to shoot these lenses how we would normally shoot them. So just some information before we go. I have a couple of studio lights here, but I also have a yellow light, an incandescent bulb shooting down from me. And I have a ceiling here that's pretty white, kind of off-white, which is probably something you would need for even your speed light to be able to bounce the light off. And it's at about 7.5 to 8 feet tall. I believe it's 8 feet tall. And so let's just go ahead and do this. So the first thing I'm going to do is shoot how we would normally shoot if you're shooting something in low light. So what I would normally do is I would set my camera settings, and the settings that I'm using right now are at aperture priority. And I'm going to do it at 2.8 just so I can get a little bit of background blur. And to compensate for having low light and having no flash, which is what I'm going to use right now, we're going to push our ISO up to auto ISO. And we're going to use auto ISO to compensate. And I'm going to show you what ISO it uses. So let's go ahead and shoot our lenses here. Also, I'm using the 35mm AFS for this Nikon D750, which is my preferred camera. I also have a D600 that I use when I need a second camera, but this is what I use. I'm a Nikon shooter, as you've seen from some of my older shots, my older videos. So let's go ahead and frame this up and see what we got here. Okay, so the ISO that came out from auto ISO was 1400. It's not too bad. It seems like something that can be very much usable. The background blur is pretty cool. I like how everything came out. I'm going to reposition these camera lenses so I can see something a little bit more photogenic. As you can tell, I use Yangnuo also. I like Yangnuo. It works for me when I didn't have a lot of income from photography, but as I've grown as a photographer, of course, I've bought some nicer glass. But Yangnuo has been wonderful for me for budget lenses, and I can't say enough about them. So that was shot using no flash and using the auto ISO. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pop up our flash, and we're going to do the same thing, except now we're going to go into our menu and we're going to set our flash to TTL. Now TTL is almost like the auto version of flash, Works very, very well. I like how it works, but it's inconsistent because it's sending out one flash to, to check how bright that flash comes back to the sensor and then shoots a follow-up flash. Depending on where you are and how you're moving, you might get some inconsistencies, which is why I don't use that very often. But when push comes to shove, TTL can work on a clutch. So let's try that out. So again, it was able to bring the ISO down to 400, which is very good. And it's not bad. It's not a bad shot, except you'll see later on in comparison that the, and my focus was a little off, unfortunately, but you'll see that, that the shadow is very, very harsh underneath the first Yangnuo lens because it's a very bright light, even in spite of it being TTL. Okay, so now I want to show you what I used for getting a nice soft light. It's very pleasing. It's very consistent because I'm using manual flash, and I'm going to show you how that works. So basically what I did was I bought these 4-inch, I'm going to try not to flash them at you because I got studio lights here, but I've got these 4-inch mirror, and you're seeing the back of the mirror, not the front of the mirror. Although perhaps you could use the back if it's white like this, but I digress. I like to use the front part of the mirror, the actual mirror part, because then I could get a nice bright flash, fill up the entire ceiling, and get a nice, huge light box, basically. And to attach this to the camera, I printed this from Thingiverse. It comes in 2 pieces like this, and this is basically a, I'll give you some B footage right here, but it's basically a cold shoe foot here, or it'll obviously fit on your hot shoe, but it is a shoe foot here, and then you have the 4-inch square so for your mirror, and that's just hot glued to this, and it works very, very well. Now, what I like about it is that it's at a 45-degree angle. It goes straight up into the ceiling, and it floods the ceiling with light, and I'm able to take a nice picture, and I'm going to show you that. So we're going to go ahead and attach it to our camera here. Attaches very easily, and like I said, I can carry this in one bag. I don't have to carry a huge bag that carries my speed light. I don't have to worry about making sure the speed light has batteries, none of that extra stuff. This works wonders. You'll see in a second. Now, as for settings, we don't do aperture priority anymore. I have more controls, so I take more control. I go to manual shooting, and then I take my speed and I bring it to 200. And then, of course, we're going to stay at 2.8. And then instead of doing ISO auto, we take it off of auto, and we're going to start at 200. So depending on your lighting conditions, you might want to go up. Like I've gone to churches that have barely any light coming in, like no windows or anything, and I've been able to shoot at 500 ISO. I've been able to shoot with rafters that are very, very high that you think that you wouldn't be able to reach, but with a little bit of a higher ISO, I'm able to shoot very nice. I'm able to get a catch light in everybody's eye. You're gonna see a group picture here that I took that, and the settings are in there, and you'll see that I was able to get a pretty good shot. Very dark originally, but since I shoot raw, I'm able to lift up all those lights and get a very good result from that afterwards. And so let's try this with 200 speed, 200 ISO, and f2.8. Oh, one last thing I need to set. I got to make sure that my flash is at manual, and we're going to start at half power to start off with. Okay? Okay, this time my focus was right where I wanted it to be. So as you can see, the shadow is nice and soft underneath that first Yangnuo, as opposed to before when it was nice and it was very harsh. Now, the lighting is very nice here. I like how it came out, really. I mean, you can go off of that. If I needed to have a little bit more light, obviously I can set my flash power a little stronger or a little less strong to get what I'm kind of looking for. This is when using your histogram is very important. Also, you'll notice that there's no yellow light because the power of the flash was overpowering the studio lights and the room light. I'm able to get a very good, nice white balance, a nice flash balance from my raw footage here. So again, that's basically what I do, and that's my little tip to you. Again, the information is going to be in the description below on how you can get this, either the plans if you have your own 3D printer, or let me know and I can do my best to ship one out to you at a nominal fee, so that you can go on shooting with just your pop-up flash. Have a wonderful day.